So yeah, how's everybody doing? I got my good friend Matt Blackburn with me today. Fortunate enough to say that. So today we're just gonna share a little bit. This is somebody who I feel is honestly doing something very very special right now, very much needed in the world, and I recognize that. And I really wanted to get his story out to my following. So Matt, first of all, thank you for joining me. And
Thanks for having me, Trey.
absolutely. Can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and maybe where you're from?
I was born and raised in Southern California, San Diego, beach boy, and I didn't get into natural health until about 8 years ago. At first, so what started this whole journey was my Aikido teacher back in high school. He told me to watch this documentary called Zeitgeist, and that sent me into a tailspin because I was raised Catholic. And this documentary kind of just breaks down religion, which we won't get into too deep for this interview.
Right.
But that started me off on basically a spiritual journey,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know it at the time, and just a questioning journey. And so I found this documentary from PETA, and it was showing the horrors of factory farming, CAFO, confined animal feeding operation farms, just how they're, it's like satanic ritual kind of
Mm-hmm.
weirdness
Right.
that most people need to realize is the basis of their diet. It's like crazy.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, I want to run as far away from that as possible.
And,
So I quit meat cold turkey, just like a lot of people that see these images. Another good documentary is Earthlings. Like if someone has a spouse or a partner that, let's say, lives on Hamburger Helper or like those kind of meals, like hot dogs and hamburgers every day, just sit them down and have them watch Earthlings and have them see what goes into processing their food that they're eating every single day. So pretty much I went on a factory farm dairy diet, and I didn't realize that. I did that for 5 years.
mm,
So I was eating a ton of hybridized glyphosate filled, brominated bread with homogenized, pasteurized, chemicalized cheese, and I was just mainlining those. Like I
mm,
don't know, it's like on a cheese sandwich diet. It was weird. I was
mm,
eating like 3 or 4 cheese sandwiches a week. That was like my staple,
right.
and that eventually did a number on my skin quality. A lot of people get into health for the skin, and that was pretty much me. Uh, I discovered so through my YouTube journey, started with PETA, Zeitgeist, and then I started down this YouTube rabbit hole. I was just watching YouTube related videos, and by some miracle, I came across this guy's channel, The Life Regenerator, which I still support. He's still a brother to me, and he's Dan the Man, and he promotes a 100% raw vegan diet, and he's a big advocate of juicing, like making fresh vegetable juices.
Right.
But I got into his work, and he was talking about love, peace, and gratitude, and reaching your highest potential. And that was a new thing for me, and that touched my heart when he would talk about that.
Mm,
He was at his park in Washington at the time, in front of his RV, shirtless in the sun, and he's like, "Love yourself," and he's like juicing. I was
mm,
just so inspired. That's actually what led me to make my YouTube channel to inspire people. And and I started juicing vegetable juices, and I went from being, I'll say, goblin or standard American vegetarian
mm,
just for ethical reasons to health and ethical reasons, and uh, that's when I started to see things really turn around.
mm,
And that was just simply switching to a 100% organic diet, 100%. Like I didn't put anything in my body that wasn't organic. That was just a mental switch I had to turn on.
yep.
And the other thing was just getting more live food in my diet. And and some people, that word diet, it's an easy label to get the point across.
Mm,
Uh, Eating template, whatever you want to call
right.
it. And so I went on pretty much 80% raw vegan eating template. Good 3.5 years. I broke that with the bison burger thanks to the raw bras.
Mm.
So I had a lot of teachers, Gabriel Cousins, David Wolf, Robert Cassar, Paul Check, um, on and on and on. Life Regenerator, obviously. Just a lot of teachers. And I didn't get, even Doug Graham, I bought his book, 80, 10, 10, but I didn't get too like narrow into one teacher.
Right.
What I always do is be like, okay, I resonate with this information. I'm going to try it and see how I feel. So I did the fruitarian thing. I did the liquidarian thing. I did the paleo thing.
Mm-hmm.
I did the proof thing. I did a lot of different things. And it's just like, okay, try it for months, then really tune in. And that's, we might get into that lately, but just that sensitivity that you get from being clean and with watching what you're putting in your mind and in your body, just there's this like sensitivity, like your intuition just gets so much stronger, and that's invaluable. And that's been one of my favorite things about getting healthy is I feel like my intuition is super heightened. It's a cool superpower to have. So that's pretty much my journey in a nutshell.
That's really awesome. Wow. It's like a lot of the questions that I had for you. It's like, well, he answered that just then. That's really cool. Well, well, thanks for sharing that. um, so my next question is, you kind of touched on it here, but as far as what you see or perceive, like say we'll call it like the health movement right now, where do you see like the majority of the focus is, and what do you think that what are some things you think where we should shift our focus? Because I know I listen to what you say, and I know your message. So if that makes sense, what would you say about that?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So, yeah, I'm sure I see your posts as well. You're onto this. That the focus in alternative health. So I have my degree, bachelor's degree in alternative and complementary health, and so there's all these different healing systems. There's Ayurveda, there's TCM, traditional Chinese medicine.
Mm.
There's and then there's all these different, like we were talking about before the call, people that are really into the bioenergetics and all these. There's like a million avenues to go down with health. Okay?
Right.
And some people start with, it's meat, it's the cholesterol. Some people say, it's this, and point. And what I do is I just focus. Okay, what are the highest priority things we should focus on? Is it taking these nootropic supplements, which help, but this is like getting the extra few horsepower out of your engine. This is what you do at the end. It's not what you do at the beginning.
Right.
So a lot of people do like those fine tunes in the very beginning of the journey. It's like, no. You need sunlight in your eyes first. You need sunlight on your naked skin first. You need to, get grounding shoes and be grounded more. Get grounding technology in your home. Get the mat, get the sheet, and do these. Like the highest priority things are earth, air, fire, and water, light, water, and magnetism. And it's just getting down to these primordial things. And it sounds esoteric. What's this guy trying to sell me? I'm trying to sell you sunlight. And that's the thing why these things aren't popular. I mean, yeah, I could write a book about sun and make some money from that. But the reason why these aren't mainstream in the alternative health community is because they're not really profitable. I'm passionate about DHA, my supplement here, because it's the interface between the sun and our body, and that's really cool. And that's Michael Crawford's work, Quantum Effects of DHA. There's even a clinical study out on it about it. But before we even look at supplements, what are the key things? Light, good light, bad light. Magnetism, good magnetism, bad magnetism. Water, what water are you drinking? That's the number one, whenever I work with clients or anyone, number one thing I say, what water are you drinking? Because the quality of water determines the quality of your health, because that's your blood plasma. So we often think, oh, it's good to be hydrated. No, it's not good to be hydrated. It's required to be hydrated. And we get hydrated at the mitochondrial level, and we get dehydrated there too with EMFs. So it's not just about volume of how much water you're drinking, because that can actually hurt you. If you're drinking, let's say, some type of spring water out of a plastic jug, and that's your main source of water. Okay, well, did sunlight hit that jug, and did it release 24,500 chemicals into that jug? We know about bisphenol A, but what about BPS that's more harmful? And the thousands of more, phthalates. These are endocrine disruptors, so they throw off the hormonal system. So testosterone, estrogen, you look around, you see some girly men, you see some burly women. Well, it could be the plastic, just saying. And the solution to that is very simply to sweat, to get your butt in the sauna, a dry sauna. Most gyms have them, a lot of gyms. Far infrared sauna. You could build your own near infrared. I have a video on my YouTube channel about that. But that's how you get out these plastics. So just to finish my point on the water really quick, not only are you getting chemicals in the plastic, but you're getting them hard minerals. So you can get a $15 TDS meter, and it'll measure the parts per million in the water in ppm. And you can even look up, type in on Google, your city, wherever you live, water quality. And you'll see, for example, I saw that I just moved from San Diego that had 480 parts per million coming off the tap to here in the mountains, 7,000 feet of elevation, Big Bear, and there's about 280. So half the amount of stuff. And parts per million, that could be anything. It could be pharmaceutical drugs. Is there high estrogen in San Francisco? Maybe. It could be birth control. It could be toilet paper. It could be, and most importantly, it could be these hard minerals that calcify the body, that cause calcium oxalate poisoning, hardening of the tissues, of the glands, of the organs, of the brain. And so when we are spinning our wheels in health, and there's a lot of progress being made, but there's also a lot of backpedaling. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this information. It's because what are the priorities? How can we make sure we don't go insane? Well, magnesium, DHA, and we mine the water that we're drinking. Because if we lag on any of those, then we're heading for neurodegeneration. And it's like walking down a dark alley without a flashlight. The flashlight is created with the biophotons that our body emits. And to do that, we need good water in our plasma.
Wow. Yes. Wow, man, that's powerful. That's awesome. Yeah.
Chagas inspiring
me. It's interesting, you say that, just to touch on that. I often, I carry the same message, what kind of water are you drinking? And I live in the Midwest, and I always say, the further west you go in the United States, the consciousness kind of rises. And I'm in the Midwest, and I mention water, and then people are just like, no judgment to people, where they're just like, it's water, what do you mean? And so then I'm like, okay, what's that mean? So we the education on what's in the water and what it's doing to us, I think that's why I'm happy for, guys like you and everybody that's, helping to educate people. So thanks again for that.
Yeah, I could resonate, man. I was preaching to people that didn't want to hear what I had to say. For most of this journey, I'd say a good 4 years straight, it was hurting my throat. Actually, when I started sharing to people that actually wanted to hear me, I had about a week-long sore throat. And so That's really interesting, is to really, for self-respect, because we could scream from the mountaintop, get in the sun naked, get grounded, change your water. But we're actually harming ourselves. And it took me a while to realize that if talking to people and they don't want to hear what we have to say, we got to walk away. Because otherwise we're doing ourselves a huge disservice. That was a huge lesson for me, actually. That was
Dang,
big. I was wasting a lot of my time.
that's powerful, man. That helps me out too. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because and then you always hear this like lead by example,
Right.
you know, show by example. So we can talk somebody's like for example with my product, I can talk somebody's ear off about this.
Hmm.
But what I love is to be in an event where I can speak, and then I go around with this dropper and give it to people, and give them a full dose, and then see because that's we really got to experience it. We got to feel it viscerally. We got to sample people's photons, be right next to them. So yeah, it's the West Coast definitely has a growing consciousness going on, and that's really exciting. I'm really optimistic. Um, just what makes me optimistic the most is that people are remaining positive
Hmm.
because there are a lot of um, there's a lot of negativity out there, especially with people that are really smart, where they get in this kind of weird vibe where it's like they attack people. Like I've noticed, I really am a fan of Paul Check, Dan McDonald, the Life Regenerator, and Robert Kassar. Um, I respect them almost more than anybody else that I follow because even though they're super smart, they're very humble, and
Yes.
that's so important to keep that. And if we keep that, then we're going to actually be able to hear each other. Because once we like lose that humbleness factor, then we're like on our own. It's
Hmm.
like we're like an island now, and so we can't grow. So that's a big part of my message: is laugh at yourself, don't take yourself too seriously. Um, if you realize you're doing something that's been wrong, you said something wrong, you did something wrong, then change it. It's not a big deal. We're
That's
always changing.
very true, right? Think about that too. It's like, we're talking about, how can, like Alan Watts says, like, how can we ever really know ourselves if we're always, we're constantly changing all the time, every day.
Yeah,
Having
yeah,
compassion and for ourselves, and so definitely that's a big lesson for me too. Um, so so your YouTube channel is, you call yourself the Divine Superconductor? Am I wrong?
correct. Yeah, Divine Superconductor TV.
Okay, so yeah, everybody definitely check that out. Lots of value on that. So that, taking that into consideration, um, what kind of I mean, I know it inspired it. You talked about it, but like, what would you say your purpose or your mission is? Last time I asked you what your dream was, but taking all of, like, how what you know about the world, and then how do you tie that in with your mission and purpose?
I love that. Yeah. So uh, I feel like I have a main mission, and then I have sub missions, like
Mm.
missions under that, like mini missions.
Right.
And my main mission that lights me up at the deepest level is to lessen the amount of suffering in the world, and that's very simple, a simple one. How I intend to do that is to always speak out about the mistreatment of animals, like factory farms. Everyone should unite. Paleo, vegan, vegetarian.
Mm.
Everyone should be against that. And that whole system is partly there because there are draconian laws that prevent people from having chickens and goats in most areas, and bees, and being self-sufficient. You can even go to jail for collecting rainwater. It's a lot of weird stuff. So
Right.
it's but we're getting there. People are waking up,
Yeah.
and I see a world in my lifetime, which is partly why I want to live a really long time. I intend to is to see the air, water, and soil get regenerated. And there's a ton of pollution at a very deep level to where it's not just like there are chemicals in the environment, in the soil, in the air, and in the water. Yeah, it's true. There's glyphosate airborne. We're breathing glyphosate. That's true. It's true that there's industrial grade fluoride in acid form in the tap water. That's true. And chlorine in acid form in the water. And all these deep things. But it's more the biogeochemical cycles of the planet are altered because of burning fossil fuels.
Mm.
So it's almost like I noticed with the Mars thing, the Mars mission always talk about colonies on Mars, and it's almost like we're giving up on this planet, and you have all these movies that are planting the seeds, because movies, that's what Hollywood is. The magic wand of Merlin's made of Hollywood, so they cast spells on our mind.
For sure.
And yeah, and I don't watch movies ever. I actually just I can't. I tried to kind of keep up with it, but I just can't do it. I literally just zone out. I can only watch documentaries.
Same.
But
Same.
yeah, I recommend that. Yeah, I mean, however you want to let loose, but I recommend letting loose eye contact with people, direct communication with other human beings.
Right.
So looking at screen. But yeah, basically, I fully believe that the planet is going to be completely restored, and at a deep level, I feel that we're going to realize our full potential. A lot of people talk about activating the light body.
Mm-hmm.
While we're kind of headed with quantum health towards all these light practices, holding on to light in the body. It's interesting, right? So who knows? It's a really exciting ride, but what I'm doing is I'm just holding the vision that everything's going to get restored. Everyone's going to be nicer to each other. There's going to be no more tyranny, no more prison planet, no more of that weirdness of that controlling, whatever you want to call the puppeteers that are, the military, industrial, pharmaceutical cartel.
Right.
It's that revolving door of the same people, Monsanto, bought by Bayer,
Mm-hmm.
giving you food with the toxin in it, and you get sick, and then you have to go back to them for their pharmaceutical drug.
Right.
Then you go to the ICU, right, because you get sick.
Mm.
So it's really deep. There's a really deep system here, and it doesn't matter about the conspiracies.
Right.
All the triple letter agencies, whatever. We just got to focus on ourselves, and that's actually what led me to where I am today. Is instead of becoming powerless and angry and upset and just looking out, one day I just said I want to become a superhero, and I set that intention, and ever since then I've been moving that direction.
Nice. Yeah, definitely, man. You are a superhero.
Thanks, man. So are you.
Thank you. Wow. Yes. Definitely think about all that stuff too, man. Yeah, for sure. I do. So yeah, my next question. So I don't know, I think I was just skimming through Facebook. It might have been something I saw you say, or I was just fascinated by, maybe it was Jason Christoph. I know you know who that is. He just was pointing out information about the sun and the photons and the interaction with the body. So I just wanted to hear in your words, just because I feel like the the consciousness or the people, the population, just to see it in a different light. Can you kind of describe to people, yeah, what's going on with, what happens when we go outside and do something like naked sunbathing? What's really happening that we don't maybe realize, or on a deeper level?
I love it. Yeah, so we're actually getting biophotons. So there's different types of light. So I turn on the light behind me, and that's photons. And then I go outside and I get the sun on me, and that's biophotons.
Right.
And light, no matter what form, biophotons or otherwise, can act as both a particle and a wave. And it's quantum effects. It's like quantum means probability. It means anything could happen. and a lot of it depends upon the observer.
Mm.
The double slit experiment is a good one to see about that. That was on the documentary "What the Bleep Do We Know."
Okay.
I saw that right when it came out. Really interesting stuff. So pretty much when we're outside, we're getting these packets of information, and especially if we're naked, there's the visible spectrum of light that goes from 400 nanometers to about 700, and that's Roy G. Biv. And it actually goes the opposite way. So about 800, it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So 300 around there is purple, violet. And it's invisible purple, like 270 nanometers. So pretty much when you go outside, you're getting not just white light, but you're getting all the colors of the rainbow. And each frequency, there's multiple frequencies spanning that wave. That's just the visible part too. And then there's frequencies in ultraviolet, and there's frequencies in infrared, beyond red. It's like invisible red. We have invisible purple. And as it turns out, UV, ultraviolet, and IR, infrared, are actually the two most important aspects of light. And we've been specifically programmed by design to fear UV. We were taught to fear it in our eyes. It's going to cause retinal damage. Wear your sunglasses with UV protection. Wear your contacts with UV protection that are made of plastic that block the oxygen from going into the cornea, because the cornea needs a direct access to air. It breathes that way. The gases can't enter your cornea. When the gases can't enter your cornea, your eye's starving for oxygen. You actually can't grab photons anymore. I wore contacts for like 8-10 years. That made me chronically dopamine deficient. That had me crash to the ground in the last few years. And thank the creator that I actually found out about all these practices, because I was really close to hitting the ground. That's what happens when you chronically wear sunglasses or contacts. You get chronically dopamine deficient. So anyway, the UV, fearing our eyes, UV causes skin damage. Wear your sunscreen. Wear your UV blocking. And what spectrum of UV is it blocking? It's blocking the UVB, which is what we need to make vitamin D. It's allowing UVA, which we used to think was bad, right? But UVA is actually what our cells use to communicate. They communicate using light, and they communicate using purple light and ultraviolet A. So yeah, when you're outside sunbathing, you're getting frequencies that have different effects in the body. If you look up triple LT on PubMed, low-level light therapy, you can see 2,000 clinical studies about it. Green light for collagen, red light for inflammation, blue light for inflammation. On and on, there's a lot of effects, and they're all balancing effects. Specifically with the UV and the infrared. Infrared is heat. So when you go out and you feel that heat, that's actually invisible red light. I just made a video on my YouTube channel about this. So you go in front of a bonfire, fireplace. You're feeling that heat. That's actually invisible red light you can't see. That's the same energy that our bodies are emitting, because we emit heat, right?
Right.
But so we're always emitting light. We're emitting all the frequencies, but mainly invisible purple and invisible red. So you could see the light coming off of us with different cameras. With a FLIR camera, you could see the infrared light coming off of us. With a GDV camera, gas discharge visualization, you could see the extreme low frequency UV light coming off your fingers. You can measure, and on and on. So yeah, what you're getting when you go out in the sun is a cascade of effects where the colors penetrate different depths. You're getting a release of chemicals in your skin, beta endorphin, the runner's high, and you're regenerating the mitochondria in the tissue in the areas where the sun's hitting. So if you're a guy and you're out there getting sun on your gonads and your testes, you're actually regenerating the mitochondria there. And that's just not for sex, it's for reproduction, it's for hormones.
Mm.
Testes is responsible for testosterone production. It's a part of that process. So
Hmm.
it's critical to get sun in every area. Women, breasts, vagina, men, the penis, the testes. It's just like, and there's even clothes that you can buy that allow in 100% of the light, so you don't get in trouble for being naked outside. The easiest thing, obviously, is just what I do is I wait till noonday, solar noon, which around here is usually around 1 o'clock, and it's sun's directly overhead. And how do you find that out? Download the D-Minder app, and that'll show you. And it can also track your vitamin D production based upon your altitude and a lot of factors. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't keep track of is your population density, because if you're in New York or LA or San Diego, it's actually harder to absorb photons because the average person owns 7 microwave devices. So there's this bubble of that. That's why if you're in those cities, it's absolutely critical to ground when you do. Because when you're grounding, you're actually able, even though you're surrounded in this microwave oven, at least you're grounded. So you're getting more there. But yeah, there's countless effects with the sun. The main one that I would say is that you're powering up
Hmm.
and regenerating the mitochondria in your cells. And these are kind of like the little, I mean, in the Star Wars, what gave the Jedi the Force? What powered the Force? It was the metachlorians. And the mitochondria are like your metachlorians.
Hmm.
It's a very similar concept.
Man, that's awesome. I think that's gonna be very good for people to absorb that. Because I don't know, you get to those, a certain part through your like our own awakenings where like, you know, yeah, this song is good for me. It's funny how it's such a simple, like you say, it's simple, but it's complex. But it's like it's such a simple thing that we're just like, hey, go outside, get in the sun. so, so,
Exactly. Yeah.
so,
Just say something on that really quick.
yeah.
There's a couple key things I learned. This is to maximize your sun exposure. Sweat often, so you have less chemicals in your skin. You could even go deeper and do gua sha, and I recommend this if you're able to sweat heavily, like river sweat.
Hmm.
Take a jade spoon or a natural material spoon, and you scrape. Robert Kassar on YouTube has a lot of videos about this. I've gotten great results from that. Literally, my tissue thinned. Or people are like, Matt, how did you get so vascular from gua shaing? So
Hmm.
while my pores were open, I was scraping all these chemicals out.
Wow.
It really did thin my skin and lessen the toxic load in my tissues. So with the sun, there's absorbing it. Sweat in the sauna, take DHA, take chlorophyll, and ground yourself. And if you do all those things, then you're going to be able to absorb exponentially more sun than you could otherwise. And there's research on all that to back that up. And it's kind of just common sense anyway. But
Right.
yeah, just because you got the sun doesn't mean you're going to absorb it.
Mm.
I mean, you're going to absorb a little bit, and it's of course, it's always better than nothing to just get out there.
Right.
But those things, and then if you can, it's the best to go out in nature and find a spot where no one is, and take all your clothes off, sit down on a towel, and do it out there. Especially if you don't get signal on your cell phone, that's the best. Then
Mm.
you just keep stacking all this stuff.
It's so interesting how we have to go to like such like lengths just to get back to like our humanity, right?
It's funny. Yeah,
um,
there's a lot of booby traps.
so this got me thinking. Like, so today, I work inside of a building with Wi-Fi, and I think like as we develop down this path of practicing our grounding and feeling and experiencing like how it is to feel better, to think clearer, and we start to feel the difference. And then I think about how I was before. I wasn't aware. I couldn't. I wasn't aware. I didn't feel it. So I was like, I thought about like all the other people out there that are just not aware of these types of things and maybe are numb to it, can't feel what it feels like. What types of things are happening to people that are, because you mentioned like we're like plants and we can go not being grounded for a while, but we need to come back to it. So if a person's going like, months and months and months and years, it's like obviously their health's probably going to fail. But what kind of thing is happening to them? I know for me, I can't stand it. I have to go outside, like, or get some grass or something.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a great one. So
Excuse me.
what's happened well, when they're in the Wi-Fi, when they're in Wi-Fi? I mean, I got into my new place. I heard Jason in the video saying, "Don't get Wi-Fi, get a direct connection at home." There are mitigation strategies you can actually do. I live in the forest here, 7,000 feet elevation, and there's not a lot of people around me. These are like vacation homes, and I'm surrounded by huge pine trees.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in an environment with a ton of trees, they actually absorb a lot of the electrosmog.
Mm.
There's also you can ground um, ground yourself with a grounding mat. There's even these little shields you could put over your router. LessEMF.com has those. So there's a lot of mitigation. It's not doom and gloom. It's not if you're in Wi-Fi you're gonna die. There's a
Yeah.
lot of that tactic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's something to being aware of that. Obviously, I'm not going to sleep, in a Radio Shack or something like that, or like an AT&T store with like Wi-Fi signals. But if you have sufficient DHA in your cell membranes and you're grounding indoors, ideally directly to the earth, but even if you're not, you're pretty protected.
Good.
And yeah, and I'm a big fan of magnetic stones. So I'm a big fan of lodestone. This is magnetite that's been struck by lightning, and I'm a big fan of shungite. And interestingly enough, they're both black stones. The black stones tend to be magnetic,
Hmm.
and wearing shungite against the skin is really good. There's a billion necklaces you can wear that are supposed to negate EMFs. Shungite is one of the ones that definitely does it. It lessens like dirty electricity, and it's kind of like wearing a little battery, so I'm getting trickle charge throughout the day too. So
Wow.
that's cool. Yeah, and you can also take these lodestones. They're on eBay, probably like $20, and just put one on the silver threads, and you're grounding that. And if you have any dirty electricity that's going through the silver threads on your mat, this will filter it. It'll also up the voltage that you get. It's a really cool stone to have. And as far as what effects is the radiation having on the body,
Yeah.
um, it's affecting the calcium ion channels in the cell. So whenever a cell is stressed,
Mm-hmm.
calcium and magnesium flood into the cell. And let me back up a bit and say that we have these electrolyte salts in the body. And we have sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and chloride. And some people say there's more, and very well could be. Those are the main ones. And sodium and potassium facilitates the sodium potassium pump. So that's how water goes in and out. So that's how our cells get hydrated. And then calcium contracts the muscles, magnesium relaxes, and chloride is involved in salt. It's involved in cell hydration, water retention, being able to hold water, but not just hold water, hold a charge. So I'm a big fan of Celtic salt. Do not do Himalayan rock salt. They are rocks, and they're not amphoteric, so they can't act as both an acid as a bait and a base. There's a lot of properties to the Himalayan pink salt that I didn't know for years.
Hmm.
It's like taking beach sand. It's like an inorganic mineral, and this contributes to the calcification. So it's just a very simple switch to just get off Himalayan, go to Celtic. There's a ton of other salts, but Himalayan's probably one of the worst. That was a huge wake-up call for me because I'd heard about it a year ago from my friend Graham Javon, which I highly recommend people following if they're not on Facebook. He's in the UK, definitely a smart brother, and basically Within 2 or 3 days of switching salts, I felt like I had to drink less water. It was actually, I was holding more. The water just wasn't going through me. I
Mm.
wasn't drinking water and I was going to urinate right away. I was actually being able to store it.
Right.
That was really interesting. But yeah, basically, EMFs, they dehydrate us at the cellular level. They make calcium flood into the cell. And
Mm.
when calcium floods into the cell, it makes the cell swell. And the mitochondria swell. And when things swell, they get bigger. And in our mitochondria, there's the respiratory proteins, the cytochromes, 5. And they're called complexes, cytochromes. And basically, they're just what energy electrons and protons move across on their way to make cellular energy, or ATP, available to play.
Right.
And when the cell mitochondria swell, they get bigger from this calcium unnaturally flooding in. Then the respiratory proteins spread apart, and electrons have to travel further. And when that happens, you get mitochondrial inefficiency, and that translates to less ATP production in the mitochondria. That translates to less ATP production in that cell. That leads to lower energy in that tissue, and then that leads to tissue, organ, gland degeneration,
Mm.
wherever those mitochondria are. So this is like we're getting into like the deepest layers here.
Mm.
It's really interesting that non-native electromagnetic fields affect us at this deep layer. There's even something with sunlight, like we were talking about before. Plants use chloroplasts to absorb sunlight,
Mm.
and photosynthesis is 30 to 40 step process, and there is a part in there called isomerization, and the plant needs to be hydrated to be able to absorb the photons. We have that same process in us.
Right.
So that's why I brought up dehydration before. If you're dehydrated at the mitochondrial level, then you're not going to be able to absorb those photons as effectively. And DHA actually plays into this because one of the biggest claims that can be made about DHA that a lot of people know as fish oil, omega-3, is that it's involved in membrane fluidity. And what does that mean? It just means that I made a post about this today. Do you want your mitochondria to look like grapes or raisins?
Grapes.
And they look like yeah, they look like grapes and they're hydrated. And so it's the ability of the cell membrane and the mitochondrial membrane to be fluid, to actually have flexibility to it. That's hydration. It's
Mm.
water. So again, we're back to light, water, and magnetism. It always goes back to those is the basic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, there's there's mitigation things you could do with EMF. The only like maybe a little bit of a scare tactic, not scare tactic. The negative that I would say that there's no mitigating. Okay, let me back up here.
All right.
The last place I lived was an RV that I rented out.
Mm-hmm.
And not only was the noise pollution, I was in the heart of close to Mexico. There's mariachi music blasting, different culture. People stay up all night, 3 or 4 a.m., talking, yelling, screaming, singing, whatever. But what I felt the most was the electrosmog pollution.
Mm.
And this was tangible because I went on a camping trip to Yosemite National Forest.
Mm-hmm.
And I slept better than I've ever slept. And I measured it with this Aura ring, the sleep tracker. And it showed that I had more REM sleep. I had more deep sleep, more than I had previously.
Right.
So, yeah, you could ground yourself while you sleep. If you're living in let's say you're living in Times Square. You're say you're on like the extreme example, right? Say you're on like the 30th floor in Times Hotel. at that point, I would say there's absolutely nothing you could do to mitigate that. You have to move.
Right.
Uh, my my experience in the RV wasn't that extreme.
Mm.
I can tell you that I slept on a Magnetico sleep pad, a 10 Gauss one, which is 20 times the Earth's magnetic field. The
Hmm.
Earth right now is at half a Gauss. This was 10 Gauss, 20 times the current Earth's magnetic field. So what I was doing is I was supplementing the missing magnetic field of the Earth.
Hmm.
And Kevin Trudeau is a fan of this. Heard about it from Jack Cruz, David Wolf. A lot of people know about this pad, and I have a video on my channel about it if anyone wants 15% off. It's one of the best investments I've ever made. They're like $1,000 to $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
Only buy it pretty much once. It lasts forever. And it's all these magnets that are unidirectional magnetic fields. So it's not like those Fightin, whatever magnetic bracelets that you wear, magnet therapy,
Mm-hmm.
because that's north south, reverse polarity. That's like acupuncture. That's how acupuncture works.
Mm-hmm.
That actually weakens the chi, depletes the chi over time. What it's basically doing, and what I was doing in the RV, so I'll connect all this, is my Magnetico was only maybe 6 feet off the ground, and a 10 Gauss magnetic field is really powerful. I
Mm.
mean, you could wipe your cell phone or a hard drive, set it on there and leave it there. And what it's basically doing is it was pulling up the magnetic field of the Earth and strengthening it. So I was supplementing. Instead of only getting half a Gauss now, I was getting 10 Gauss, and it was pulling that up through the pad. It was like funneling the Earth's magnetism through me while I slept.
Hmm.
And what the effect had is really deep. It had an effect on ATP production. It's called the Lamar formula. That basically says that when you improve the function of the sodium potassium pump, which back to magnetism, that's what increased magnetism does.
Mm-hmm.
That's the effects of grounding to the earth, barefoot, skin to earth,
Mm-hmm.
is that you're actually increasing the sodium potassium pump, how your cells get hydrated. That's the connection with being able to absorb more photons. Why I mentioned grounding earlier, to be able to sunbathe more efficiently.
Right.
It's all super deep related. And basically having more magnetism from the Magnetico, but even just grounding, what it allows you to do is make more electricity in your brain,
Yeah.
therefore make more electricity throughout your body. And when you can do that, you can push off these fields better. It's not a complete mitigation.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about this in our last interview. I think the must-have sleep situation to be decently healthy, or to be optimal, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
in the future. I mean, because it's very hard to be optimally healthy. It's like us, like we're hardcore researchers and experimenters, Trey, you and I,
Right.
but we still like, geez, I still have this health thing going on. With that, and we're like super ninjas. So like, what's going on here?
Right.
So, so yeah, I think the ultimate sleep setup in the future is going to be the Magnetico 10 or 20, probably 20 Gauss,
Mm.
which is 40 times the Earth's magnetic field. And this is for EMF mitigation. So there's that hundreds of thousands of satellites.
Right.
There's around the Earth circling. And then we have everyone on their phone, 4G, 5G, and it's bouncing these signals out. And then they're just bouncing around in the Earth. And it's creating a stronger microwave oven.
Mm.
So the mitigation strategy, the solution to all of this is not doom and gloom or screwed.
Mm-hmm.
It's you get grounding shoes. I like Earth Runners, and you're grounded every time you're out.
Right.
Or you need closed-toed shoes. They make those too. Or you just get leather shoes, and you make sure that the sole is leather, and the inside of the shoe is leather. You can take it to a cobbler, and you can do that. But basically, grounding all the time, Magnetico, Faraday cage canopy. That is going to be the future of being able to mitigate this Earth-wide microwave oven that we're in. And of course,
Mm.
going to like Mexico, like the underground, the caves and the underground rivers, and going to these places in the world, that'll be the deepest vacation. Instead of going to these tourist destinations, the go-to spots are going to be the spots where there's not any cell phone reception, where you can't get
Mm.
service, because that's true vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Um, so I wanted to ask you one quick thing, and then I wanted to get into your product. Something just really I'm curious about, which I'm curious about everything you do, right? I think I'm tuned in just like a lot of other people. So as far as like rituals go, do you have things that you do every day, like upon awakening? I know you get out in the sun, right, and let the sun hit your eyes. Is there anything else that you do? Like, do you have rituals? Like, I do these every day. Anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So it's funny you say that. My friend just sent me this link for some type of a journal. There's a lot of these little books where they can buy it 30 or 40 bucks, and you could map out your day, 3 goals of the day, what are you grateful for, all
Mm.
that stuff's great. I need to be more disciplined with that. I just moved and been kind of like throwing off my
Yeah.
schedule. I do have a somewhat schedule right now, even though I just moved, and I can tell you what I did this morning. Um,
Yeah.
First thing, um, get out in the sun. Well, actually, okay, so this is tricky. This is actually a good example for people.
Okay.
So, so, uh, so I'm surrounded by trees,
Mm.
and the sun. I can't see the sunrise unless I drive somewhere. And that's like probably most people.
Mm.
Wake up and you're going to look around and there's neighbors' roofs
Right.
and the sun's up the roof. And you have to wait.
Mm.
That's fine. You don't need to get it right when it's coming up. But as soon as the sun breaks that horizon where you can finally see it, that's the key to look towards it. And hopefully it's pretty early on in the day.
Right.
What I've been doing here, if I wake up super early, I'll wear my Quantlet device, which is this is a super advanced thing to do, but it's Jack Cruise's and Rub Sal's invention,
Hmm.
and I'll beam that in my wrist, which is like a third eye, and this literally reaches the brain past the light that I'm going in here that is balanced. It's not just blue light. Like
Right.
there's even things you can wear, like the retimer I've seen at biohacker conferences, where if like for jet lag, like if you fly and you cross time zones,
Right.
Ben Greenfield wears this, and it's blue, and I think it has some red light. It's a balanced spectrum, but you're getting artificial light in your eye. I used to think that was harmful. Now I think if that's all you got,
Yeah.
it's good to use, definitely. Especially if you have a hectic schedule, if you have to speak, if you have to be on your game. We have to be kind of gentle on ourselves, not get too neurotic and too like has to, always
Mm.
has to be like this. And yes, like if I'm at like I go to a lot of conferences, the Natural Products Expo West.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorites. That's a really fun one to go to and network. Highly recommend it for anyone. If I'm at the Hilton and say 20th floor, I wake up, yeah, I'm gonna take the elevator down the stairs and get that sun in my eyes, you know.
Right.
But what I'm getting at is we do the best we can. So,
Yeah.
so that, and then the first chance I get to get the sun in my naked eyes, I'll go outside and do that. And I recently had a goat situation,
Mm.
so floor there's a lot of poop pellets everywhere. So what I do is I wear my grounded sandals, which are plugs.
Mm.
And a lot of people think that grounding barefoot doesn't compare to grounding shoes. I disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our foot has 1,300 nerve endings per square inch.
Mm.
So our feet and our hands are definitely very sensitive, especially to electricity. You'll look at the ancient uh, paintings, different cultures. You'll see like Egyptians, they'll have their hands up like this, absorbing the sun. these are really good places to get the sun on our hands,
Wow.
especially when you're holding microwave devices a lot, like a cell phone.
Right.
Think about what that's doing to the mitochondria in the hand to regenerate them. When I'm out in the sun, I can't really go like this, have them out. And
Yeah.
so that's yeah. So I do that. I do the jet lag program on that. I might be able to find a spot to sun gaze here that maybe is down the street. Just been so busy with the move.
Yeah.
But then protein, that's the next thing I do. And so I'm a big fan of master amino patterns. And the reason for this is tied to circadian rhythms. So the retina, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, and the hypothalamus, which is the timekeeper of the brain, it tells day and night for your body.
Mm.
That listens to light. And we have photoreceptors around the skin. We have photoreceptors in our eye.
Yeah.
And those are all loaded with DHA, by the way. If DHA, those are like more than 50% DHA or outer segment of the photoreceptors. So it's critical for light capture in the eye and the skin. Forgot where I was going with that.
It's all right.
I lost my train of thought there. Oh yeah, okay. So the protein, so the leptin receptor, the SCN, and the retina, they're all connected. And leptin is this master hormone that regulates all the other hormones in the body. And leptin is related to satiation and hunger, ghrelin, getting hungry, feeling full. It's regulated by leptin. And if your leptin hormone is off, then that is associated with weight gain, with obesity, eventually leading to diabetes or eating processed sugary stuff. So a good way there's something called the leptin reset protocol, and it very simply is just getting protein in the morning. And what that does is that it gives your liver a signal that it's time to wake up by getting a huge influx of protein. And Dr. Gabriel Cousens hit me off to the idea that we all have different protein needs. I'm a huge believer in that. So it depends on your goals, muscle gain, physical, but a lot of people neglect to realize that amino acids are absolutely required for neurotransmitter production.
Right.
So I didn't know this when I was fruitarian, and I was eating a pound of dates a day, 12 oranges, up to 20 bananas. I was getting all these carbs and all these inorganic minerals, specifically calcium and potassium, which were antagonizing magnesium and just tanking my magnesium levels. That I was feeling high all the time. I was actually on an adrenaline rush because I was burning out my brain in multiple ways. Monocrop, Smart Fresh sprayed, NPK bananas as the main staple. I was doing a number in my brain. Yeah. So just because you feel good, you feel like happy all the time, actually could be a bad thing. It could be that you're losing your mind, like your brain's literally degenerating. I see this a lot in people, especially high carb fruit eaters, and the carbs aren't the devil, right. But carbs are good in the summer, and they're good in a certain context. In South America, and there's a papaya tree. You're eating papayas. That's awesome. It's probably the best food for you on the planet right then. Do that. But eating fruit in the winter and trying to maintain some type of a dogma when it's like snowing or it's chilly outside, you're eating like these like cooling foods. Might want to look into TCM and eat some heating foods.
Right.
Maybe some cooked foods. Who knows? So just to finish off on the leptin receptor thing, it's tied to your hypothalamus gland. So what I'll do is I like perfect amino, by Body Health. Dr. Minkoff is a great guy. If you go on YouTube and you search Dr. Minkoff vegans, he did I think it was 2-hour lecture. It's an awesome video to watch where he talks to a group of vegans, and he actually gets pretty deep into heavy metals. He's like a mercury expert. So a really cool guy, just fun information, and these aminos are fascinating because they're actually over 30 clinical studies on them. They're used for people that are muscle wasting in hospitals. So it's kind of like cheating. They're 99% assimilable, so only 1% is wasted. And so I take 2 scoops of that a lot, and people would ask me, why don't you just do whole foods? Why don't you do bacon and eggs? Why don't you do ground beef? Why don't you do, something else, a protein shake? And I did that for a while. I did whey protein, 100% grass-fed, really high-quality source, grass-fed whey protein. And I would mix in D-ribose, which actually allows the glutathione in there to actually do its job. Whereas if you don't have D-ribose in there, just a teaspoon, barely any, then you're actually not getting as much glutathione from the whey, which is one of the master antioxidants, super detoxifier. I did that for a while, but whey, 20% absorbable, 25%. Eggs, you're looking at 48%. I do this thing that's 99%. It's like, it really is like cheating. I've gained muscle without even working out, just with daily life, lifting things.
Right.
And just taking the stuff, I've started to stack muscle. So pretty cool. I'm a huge fan of it. And it's pretty much, in a nutshell, it's the full spectrum of amino acids in a proprietary ratio. And that's how it works. So there's 8 essential amino acids, right? Branched acids, leucine, isoleucine, and valine. And then there's the other ones, 5. And those super light up the brain. When you have your amino acids on point and you're not deficient in them, like I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. So if you're not eating a lot of food, if you're caloric restricting, you're intermittent fasting, either for longevity purposes, for peak performance purposes, you want to switch to ketones instead of glucose, whatever your reason, having protein in your body makes it so much easier. If you're hungry, if you take some protein, you'll notice that you actually feel okay. And especially if you're grounding, if you're getting sun and you're actually getting energy from those sources, people eat way too much food. And it's a fact. I mean, I love food. I love flavors. It's one of my favorite things about being here on this planet. I love food. But people are eating way too much of it. It's a little bit of a thing where it's emotional eating. There's a lot to it. It's a fact that the more food we eat, the less we live, the less our lifespan. So the less food we eat, the longer we live. That's just proven. And another thing that's not really talked about is the thinner you are, the longer you live. Not to say you should be anorexic or you should be like super skinny, but everyone's kind of stuck on this bodybuilding. Does the person look healthy? Do they have to have muscles to look healthy? I don't know. I mean, I give props to Ben Greenfield. He looks awesome. But he interviewed Mercola on his podcast, and they were talking about longevity. And there's 2 different pathways, and you can either go like the triathlon, like Spartan race pathway, athlete, or you can go longevity. And there's two different ones, so you have to choose. And it really depends what you want. I love being here on this planet, so I want to live a really long time. So being almost muscular is the way to go. And what I'm not trying to chase this ideal. Like I need huge biceps and triceps and a chest and a 6-pack and all this. Maybe if what I found personally is this, that effortlessly I've gained muscle and gotten shredded just from doing these principles. from getting the sun in my eyes first thing in the morning. Because what does that do? That releases human growth hormone.
Mm.
That's, and then injections, then anything you could do, because that's one of the hormones of the 8 in your pituitary gland that's released whenever you get sun in your eyes, AM sun in the morning.
Yeah.
And supplementing magnetism, supplementing the missing Earth's magnetic field, literally building tissue. Dr. Becker did experiments where he found that tissue, bone regeneration, it's all tied to how much light and magnetism we're getting. Those speed up regeneration.
Mm.
They also speed up the growth of the good stuff. Suppresses tumor growth, speeds up mitochondrial growth. So it actually speeds up the electrons and protons. It's called electron tunneling.
Yeah.
That goes across the cytochromes in the mitochondria. That's essentially, in a nutshell, what light and magnetism do to you. It's pretty cool.
Wow. Man, lots of good stuff there. Awesome. Yeah, dang, that helped me out a lot too, man. So yeah, which brings me to this. Yeah, I have two now. Remember, last time I had one. So, you know, I'll let you explain about this, and I know, I know you do this all the time. I know it's kind of in depth, but yeah, to everyone that's watching, I'm pretty picky when it comes to like what goes in my body. So just if you haven't heard of this product yet, the Mito Life, yeah, I need to take some too. This is something that I will continue to invest in. I trust Matt. And I trust what he's doing. So yeah, this is my second batch, and I'll continue to invest in that. So I just want to know, Matt. You can explain, what it is, but I really want to know how's this going for you? How's this journey unfolding for you? Because this is awesome.
Love it. Yeah, so it's really cool to be in alignment with something that you're selling,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be a physical product or a program or whatever. For years, I've been posting consistently on Facebook for I don't know, pretty much since 2011,
Okay.
and I've had so many people ask me, Matt, when are you coming out with a product? They just wanted me. They're like, sell something. Like, what do I buy from you? And it took me a while even to get to the affiliate part, because I was just in this like super scarcity mindset. Like I was just in this weird, like I hated money for many years. That was a tough deprogram, because that's like a little program that is in the new age community a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got a little bit of that from Zeitgeist and the Venus Project. So once I started doing these affiliate links, I was like, okay, at least I use the products that I'm promoting, and I'm just going to make a cut, and it doesn't cost them any extra. Sometimes they even get a discount code. So I was loving that. I was like feeling really good, and I started to feel like supported. Like, wow, I'm actually making money helping people.
Right.
The further I went down that path, I was like, whoa, it's totally sustainable to do that. And so I feel super blessed and super grateful, almost so grateful that I'm in tears some days for being able to like do this, because I've experienced this for many years. I don't know, 4 or 5 years straight, where I was working like 3 jobs. I was working retail. I was making minimum wage, and on my lunch breaks, half an hour, I was eating as fast as I could, reading health books, nutrition books, and trying to download as much information as I could. And I almost felt like I was in a prison. And every once in a while I could escape and like learn from the library, and then I had to like get back in the jail.
Right.
Yeah. So it just takes time. That's something that takes time to get out of. It's kind of like, I used to use the analogy, it's like waking up inside of a coffin, and it's like, okay, now I gotta like get out of this dark place, push the lid open, and like stand up and The light might hurt my eyes a little bit, and
Right.
like stretch. Oh, I haven't used that in a while, like
Yeah.
all these. So it's one of those. And for me personally, on my journey, it's different for everyone. It took me about 5 years plus to get out of that, to where I actually made it sustainable to help people share, and most importantly, to have the self love. People call it confidence, um, whatever you want to call it. It's self love to be able to get out there and share this information, because it's a lot of people have a lot stored in them, and then it destroys them over time when they can't get it out.
Yeah.
So one thing that I think I've been doing with my YouTube channel, just my posting in general, which I'm the most grateful for, is inspiring other individuals to do the same, to make a YouTube channel, to make a website, to start writing their thoughts out on social media, which gets a lot of flack.
Right.
Mark Zuckerberg owns all the information, whatever. It's we're reading the words, they're giving us a feeling, they're inspiring us, and hopefully we're taking action with what we're reading.
Right.
And that's where the rubber hits the road, and that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the beautiful thing about the internet and about this movement in health and self-love and service to others is key, is just that we're growing this energy, and it's non-local. It's nice to be with each other and feeling each other's biofield and having those photons intermingle and getting that information locally, but the energy of love and of passion is something that can be transmuted through distance across space and time. And a lot of people have that experience with a loved one or with a family member, where you're thinking of them and then they text you or they call you.
Mm-hmm.
That happens so often. I used to say, "Oh, that's a coincidence."
Right.
That's BS. It's not a coincidence. We are linked to each other, and we could build these cords with each other. And we're kind of building a collective one in this community that we have.
Yep.
And it's this beautiful, expansive energy that scares a lot of people, I've noticed. Where it's like, whoa, like where is this going? It's like looking down off of the cliff. Like, you don't, like,
Yeah.
seeing black. Like, I don't know where this is going.
Right.
But yeah, that's personal growth. Like we were talking about at the beginning of the call, that we're changing every day. Like, it's just so fast.
Mm-hmm.
That's why these grounding practices, literally grounding, sunlight, these are feeding our body information from the source, from the sun, from the earth. And this is while we're doing all the spiritual work and the mental work. This is grounding all that. So that's why I'm really passionate about this information. Is yes, do the emotional work, release the traumas, work through those, all that stuff. But these physical practices are just as important, and they actually facilitate all of that stuff.
Right.
So yeah, about the DHA. I basically just came out with it because I stumbled across it. It excited me, and I realized that it was in complete alignment with the message that I was bringing to people. So I was actually talking about DHA before this, and I personally did a 6-month heavy seafood diet where I was eating 4 ounces of wild-caught, sustainable Alaskan salmon 4 or 5 days a week, and I was eating maybe 2 dozen oysters a week. Did that 6 months straight, and I felt my brain turn on. I felt great. I felt really good.
Mm-hmm.
But then the more research, I'm very savvy about toxicology, toxicity.
Yeah.
Detox is kind of like a buzzword, but it's a reality. And we do have these chemicals in our environment, and these chemicals do get concentrated in the tissues of fish. So There's PCBs and dioxins and mercury and radiation, all these weird things in the ocean.
Yeah.
And those get there because factory farm runoff gets into the ocean. They get there because there's 7 gyres the size of continents that are just like junk heaps of just trash. So when we throw stuff away is in the ocean.
Right.
And talking about UV reacts with a lot of compounds. And when those plastic heaps are in the ocean and the UV comes down and hits it, it's leaching those chemicals where? Into the water. And once it's in the water, then these fish are eating, the algae is soaking it up, everything's soaking it up. And then the fish eat the algae, and then the big fish eat the little fish, and bigger. And you have these, that's why they say stay away from swordfish, and the bigger fish,
Yeah.
shark, because those have the highest concentration. It's called bioaccumulation.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that the vegans have going for them. One of the main things that I stand behind, it's huge, is eating lower on the food chain. That's very real. Because when we eat animal tissues, there's a lot of stuff that accumulates in the tissues. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff that accumulates in the plants as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's anti-nutrients, there's all sorts of stuff, phytates, whatever. But as far as chemicals go, fish oil is not the best choice.
Mm-hmm.
They start with like this radioactive toxic sludge, and they molecularly distill it, and then they separate the oil from the solids, and you have fish oil. And you have this thing that's super rancid, or super prone to rancidity from heat and light. And the cool thing about algae oil, why I'm such a fan of this, is that, well, it's clinically proven to raise DHA levels. It's indoor grown, so it's not even like we wild harvest the algae, which is soaking up some of these toxins. We're literally cultivating a wild strain indoors and then cracking the cell wall and then extracting the DHA, which is called schizochytrium, and it's 50% DHA by weight. So the DHA that you have there, it's 50% by weight. That's the maximum saturation. And so he has unflavored and lemon flavored.
Yeah.
And so the unflavored is very simply just the algae oil. It's ultra pure. Just the algae oil with an antioxidant. It's called tocopherol. And that tocopherol protects it where it could be in 114 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 years straight. And peroxide levels won't go up. It won't go rancid. You can even do short bouts of 140 Fahrenheit, like a couple months. And the research is on mitolife.us if people want to check that out. But algae oil, it's just a lot more stable. And then we even add an antioxidant with it to make it more stable. And I already said one reason why this is better than fish oil for the purity. It's actually 250 times more pure than fish oil. But it's also not in a capsule. So you don't have to deal with that carrageenan or that magnesium stearate or whatever weird stuff they put in the capsule. This is literally just the liquid.
Yeah.
So if we can, this is an important concept I've been sharing more about. There's a couple supplement brands making good capsules out there, like Pure Encapsulations has a lot of products. I'm a big fan of bulk supplements, and you can order just the straight powder from them, and then you can just capsule it yourself.
Right.
And just get a lot of these supplements are just the convenience factor, where you go there and you buy the supplement, then you look at the other ingredients, and it's just all this weird glycerin, this food, coloring, it's all this weird stuff.
Right.
Body has to deal with that, and then you just add up on a daily basis. I recommend people do this. Look at the supplements you take every day, and then just start to add up how many times you're getting those other ingredients.
Right.
You see what it adds up to, and it could be pretty substantial. I mean, natural flavors could be beaver anus. Could be that's just a natural flavors. Who knows?
Right.
So Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm really a fan of like purity with supplements, and getting potency and purity in one is the holy grail. And that's what I have here with MitoLife DHA, is it's not only the purest supplement of DHA, but it's the most potent because it has 1 gram per serving, 1,000 milligrams. If you go to the store, or even fish oil, and you look at the label, 1,000 milligrams of omega 3s. Oh, cool, that's a lot. You look at the supplement facts. EPA, maybe 500, 600 milligrams. DHA, 400 or 500 milligrams. Oh, dang. That's for like 2 capsules. And then you look at the other ingredients and you're getting a dose of those, right? So
Wow.
just, yeah, it's, I recommend 1 gram or 1,000 milligrams minimum a day for DHA. People always ask me about dosing. I'm not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice.
Right.
It depends on the condition that you're having. So if you have depression, if someone, let's say hypothetical, someone's suicidal, and let's say, for example, they're on SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. There's a Time article, Time magazine. You could look up antidepressants, omega 3s. There's a whole article where it talks about how omega 3s actually improve the function of SSRIs. And not only that, DHA can actually, because DHA helps with serotonin, it helps make more serotonin, neurotransmitter, the happy chemical. They have all these happy chemicals. They have serotonin, dopamine, and these regulate our mood. And there's a lot of things harming these neurotransmitters every time you take a fluorinated shower,
Mm.
or it hurts me every time I see a loved one taking a bath, even if they're putting in magnesium flakes and essential oils. I saw a video today, I'm not going to name names, but it made me really sad as I just saw the water coming straight out of the tap. And I knew that was warm or hot water. It's like, no,
Yep.
no. The benefits of getting whatever you put in the water are like 1%. Like the damage is outweighs the benefits like 100 to 1. Because when you're soaking up all those chemicals in the tap water in that warm or hot bath, that's lowering serotonin. That's calcifying your pineal gland. It's calcifying your brain, your tissues, your organs, your glands, because that's what hard minerals do,
Yep.
especially dissolved in hot water. So yeah, so I really promote a mix of limiting toxins in our environment, in our
Hmm.
life. $50 shower dechlorinator. I'm a big fan of Omega Organics. $100. $100 every 6 months to a year. If you're alone, it's about a year. If you're with a partner, it's 6 months. It's not a bad investment to actually have a really good filtered water where 99% of the fluoride's gone.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just kind of changing the paradigm where it's like, okay, mitigating these risks and then adding in the nutrients. And then when you combine those, then you start saying, wow, my skin's clearing up. Wow, I can like think clearly.
Hmm.
Like my memory's clearing up. Like earlier when I forgot my train of thought, if this was 2 years ago, I would have been screwed. I would have been, all right, Trey, what's the next question? I just needed 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah, I noticed
It's
that.
'cause- yeah, it's because my hippocampus is working. It's because CBD increases neurogenesis in the hippocampus.
Hmm.
It's responsible for short-term and long-term memory. And I'm doing all these things to support the glands in my brain. So it's this mix of all these goodies. So yeah, kind of like build a little protocol for yourself. And what are the priorities to me? It's magnesium. It's DHA. Those are the two major deficiencies.
Mm.
90+% of the public. You can get tested. You can get a fatty acid profile test. You can get a magnesium test. But are they testing the nanograms per deciliter in your blood for magnesium? Or are they doing the RBC, the red blood cell magnesium test? Because that's the one you want to get. So there's all these very specifics. People get so confused.
Mm.
They get these tests and then they like go off that. But it's like No, like it's like testing iron levels. It's very complicated. Copper levels. It's
Hmm.
uh, what form of minerals are you taking? Yeah, I take magnesium. I take a multi-mineral vitamin supplement. Okay, magnesium oxide, 4% absorbable. Not good.
Hmm.
Um, but my favorite things to do when you go out in the sun is just take magnesium chloride. And there's a million companies selling the magnesium spray out there. I did it for a while. It's magnesium bound to a chloride ion, and chloride is salt. And that basically, you get magnesium not only into the tissues, which helps with inflammation, but you get it into the blood. And in the blood, then it can enter into the red blood cells and sometimes into the mitochondria.
Hmm.
Magnesium bicarbonate is better for that. But why those two? Why magnesium and DHA?
Hmm.
Because those are the ones that are getting depleted the fastest. And the intake can't keep up with the depletion, the burn rate, it's called.
Hmm.
So DHA is getting burned in the retina, in the eyes, artificial light. How many people are blocking artificial light? I mean, in the natural health community, less than 1%. I mean, it's starting to blow up,
Right.
but it's really, we're heading towards a really interesting time of neurodegeneration. And I notice on a personal level, like even right now, as we speak, and yesterday, I felt this deep euphoria in my head. And it was like, it's almost that feeling like where you're almost about to laugh. And it's like, it just stays. Like, like it almost feels like microdosing psilocybin mushrooms or something, but all the time. And this is the state that we get in when our glands in our brain are actually working. This is how we're supposed to be, as Wim Hof says, happy, strong, and healthy. That's our natural state.
Amen.
Yeah. So it's it's really exciting, the potential. Nature can get us super high, and there's never a crash, and it just gets higher and higher. And that's a really cool side benefit of nature connection right there. It's feeling good.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I mean, you got me thinking just about, yeah, just that aspect. It's like, whew, where are we heading? And yeah, it's like um, just discovering that human potential, getting to the other side. How far can we really go? And then at the same time, not forgetting like why are the way things are. And I know that's a rabbit hole. That's a deep rabbit hole, and I know you know that. So, anyways,
Yeah,
mylife.us is the website for this, correct?
that is correct. Yeah, and I'll do a discount code um, for your listeners.
Okay.
Um, what's the name of this again? Of your
So yeah, I think empower and inspire. Last time you said empower at like 15 or something.
let's do this. Let's keep it the same. Empowered 15.
Awesome.
So be 15% off any order. And yeah, I also want to note that when people order, they will get a copy of my ebook on light, which is really cool. So it's 4 action steps you can take to optimize your light. And I'm coming out with it's a series of 5. So my next one is going to come out this week. So for anyone that's already ordered, they'll get that sent. But I just tried to pretty much distill in a really concise form all of the information that I have on DHA, light, water, and magnetism. Um, and so that'll be out soon. So yeah, it's Vital Life isn't just a resource for DHA, but I'm turning it into an educational platform where I could just share to make this stuff relatable.
Right.
You know, 'cause, if people got this far in the interview, maybe you know they might get a nugget here and there, but it's one thing to just you know get outside,
Mm-hmm.
barefoot and grounding shoes, 3 to 5 minutes, get that sun in your eyes. It's like, okay, got it. I can do
Right.
that.
Right. Exactly.
We got to just make it relatable and make it easy for people. And the more people that get on this, the better the world's going to be. Because it's hard to be nice to people when your brain's not working. It really is.
Right, exactly, and that's like one of the concepts that we've, eventually we pick up. It's like, oh wait, you know, how I treat myself, the self love aspect. I just reflecting that outward. So and that's part of the reason why I felt like it was important to connect with you, and because we're helping to turn people on at that level, and show that self love and buy products like this and put it in your body.
Yeah.
So you know, I'll wrap up and just what you were saying about the self love and the passion. I just want to let people know, like, everything, that position that you're operating from, it's inspired me. So just letting people know, like, it's real stuff, like, it's real deal, and it's inspired me, and um, I'm following everything you do, man. I just got my 25-watt red light bulbs, put them in, and I'm just like, this is awesome. How Matt lives in California, I live in the Midwest, and I'm just like, thank you. I feel that, so I thank you for that and everything you do. Yeah, exactly. And it's exciting, I'm excited to see your expansion, and it's great to have people like you, just to know you guys that you exist, and have you, and to be in contact and connected. So thank you for all you do, and everything, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Likewise. I love all the work you're doing on your YouTube channel. It's really good stuff.
Thank
And
you.
it's really fun watching your growth as well. And we're all growing together.
Absolutely. All right, well, guys, thank you for tuning into this. I hope you can pull something from this. Just start where you are. Try it on as an experiment. See how you feel. See if you feel the difference. Um, Matt, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for your time again, man.
Thank you for having me, Trey. Anytime.
All right.
Appreciate
Talk soon, man. All right.
it. Cheers.
Bye.